And we are back here once again with another episode of the MSK Show, and this is going to be episode 80. And in this episode of the MSK Show, I am going to be having a conversation with content creator, The Morning Mayhem, and the main guy that leads The Morning Mayhem is Mr. Chris. So it's going to be his first appearance on the show. Nice to meet you, man. How are you doing?
Hey, man. Good to meet you. How you doing?
Going great. It's Sunday. I ain't got no job. And I ain't got shit to... sorry. Fucking Friday references. Oh, my goodness. So... Since this is your first time on the show, just in case you appear later on down the road, second, third appearances, we just get this out of the way right now. How was your life growing up? Let's start there.
How was life growing up? It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. I mean, I know that you're big into art, and that's obviously something that I'm big into, and that played a big role in life growing up. Just kind of an escape from the madness of the world and madness at home, even sometimes, but. Yeah, not bad. I grew up in Georgia, still live here in Georgia. So I'm a Southern boy, a little bit of a redneck. I ain't got a whole lot of common sense kind of thing. But I can figure stuff out. You know what I mean? Not the highest educated dude, but you give me long enough with a couple tools or something, a blank canvas, I'll figure it out. But that tends to be one of the things we good at. But yeah, no, just grew up, mom, dad still together. Everything's good there, and happily married for 11 years and 12, coming up on 12 years. Got a 12-year-old little girl, and so life's pretty cool.
You've been married since what, 2011, 2012, roughly?
13.
Okay,
we got married in 13. Yeah.
Okay, so did you meet this lady when you were like in school, like high school, whatever, high school sweetheart, or you met her like after you like graduated high school?
No, we met at work. She's my second wife. I was married once, and
okay.
And she decided she wanted to, kind of be a hoe, and
I'm not gonna lie, I knew you were gonna say that because that's people. When you say that now, you're a misogynist. Literally, it's crazy how life works. Women literally could have it all. They could have a good man for them. Good house, bills paid. They don't got to pay nothing out of pocket. I was just talking to Aaron where his mom literally went for another guy. Same situation there. What is with women? They just crave. I don't know. Fucking hell. Literally, I promise you could drop off a bag of money, maybe like a blank check in there, several of them worth like millions of dollars on those checks, and they would still burn that shit to the ground if it's not exciting enough. Did she even say things like you're boring, you're not exciting enough? Because that's what women usually say,
No, everything was cool. I didn't even know until the day of, and it's like, okay, I don't want to be married anymore. And then after that, it's like, okay, I think I'm starting to put pieces together. And then afterwards, it's like, okay, so you've been with him and her and whatever else while we were together.
Okay. So she was a part-time lesbian?
She was, well, and now she's a full-time one, I guess, but she's got a kid, and that was a natural. I don't know. I'm really confused about the whole thing. But I'm grateful for unanswered prayers because that didn't work out, and the one I have now is just phenomenal. Absolutely.
So when was the last time you saw that ex-wife? Have you I imagine now you're married, like no contact, but when was the last time you saw her? Like, do you see her like around town or anything?
No. Her mom died, and so she had reached out to me, and I went out there to the family, kind of a family compound. Everybody kind of lives in the same little neck of the woods there. So went out there and paid my respects for that. But that was, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 years ago. That was it.
Damn, yeah. I definitely not have any more contact with that crazy lady. Fucking hell, man. Like there were like Facebook reels that I was watching, or even just there was this porn podcast where the clips get posted, and this guy had cancer, and he said his girlfriend ran away with another guy while he had cancer and left him. Like, and if it's so crazy how you tell dudes that, no man, you must hate women if you call out that. So you're a misogynist if you call out women bullshit.
Everything's misogyny now, or mansplaining or something, whatever to make men the bad guy.
It's not like women apparently are these perfect specimens of a human being. They have no flaws at all. They have no problems. Anything that they do is your fault, and you were supposed to be the one to read their mind, even though they never told you what was going on, only to just yell at you for random bullshit. It's like, God, man, I'm actually so glad people call that stuff out now. No, I'm good. Keep doing it. because this needs to be a thing. You can't just like normalize that saying of like women are always right. No, women are usually always fucking wrong in everything.
Absolutely.
So now with your second wife, things are better. You said you have a 12-year-old daughter. How is it like being a dad then? Because she's essentially a preteen.
Yeah, her birthday was last week or week before, I guess. And so she's a preteen, but she's in like all gifted classes. She's top of her class kind of kid. She's really, really, really smart. Didn't get it from me. And she looks like we prayed about this. We're like, look, let this child look like her mother and act like me, and she does. She has my quick wit and she will roast somebody in a heartbeat. And including me, she has roasted me on several occasions and made me
does she have an accent like you do? Like she likes one of those Southern Belle accents?
I'm gonna say but we can't hear our own that much. But
that's true.
She's got a little bit of one. Yeah, she's got a little bit of one, I guess. But yeah, she looks like her mama. At scale of 1 to 10, my wife is easily a 20, and I don't know why she settled for me in the first place, but I'm glad she's got bad eyesight, because that's about the only thing I can think of. But we have a good time. We go back and forth. We have a very dark sense of humor, and not a lot of people have that anymore, and we get to enjoy that and just have our little inside jokes and stuff. But my little girl's like that. She'll roast somebody in a heartbeat. And she makes friends with anybody and everybody. But she's a light of my life. And there's nothing that prepares you for being a parent. And it's kind of like a video game where you're playing and then you beat a boss and then you get to another level and it's like unlocks this whole new level, or you unlock this armor or whatever. When you have a child, it unlocks this whole level of love that you didn't even know existed. But it also unlocks like this superpower that you didn't know you could have as a father, because I'm 5'10" roughly. I'm a big boy. I like some eating. I'm down here in the South. We got some good stuff.
You guys love your food.
You know what I'm saying?
You guys have buffets at your gas stations. What the fuck is that?
If we could put a buffet somewhere, we're gonna do it.
What is it, man? If I went to a gas station at a buffet, I'd only eat there. That shit sounds amazing.
I had to go. I work from home for the most part, but I had to go into the home office the other day, and just one exit up on the interstate is a gas station that has a breakfast buffet bar kind of thing. Not a buffet, but a breakfast kind of bar thing in there. They'll fix your biscuit, or they'll fix you a whole plate, or what. It is some of the best breakfast food in over there in the gas station. And I love it. I think it's great.
Jeez, man. So you're on all the platforms. So let's say for social media, like YouTube, Odyssey, Rumble, X, everywhere, which is good. Obviously, it's good to be multi-streaming now. What was your inspiration to start content creation? Were you watching somebody and you got inspired by that person, or you just kind of want to just get on the microphone and talk?
Well, I guess there's two things. Like, so I'm a filmmaker, and so I'm used to being behind the camera, and I prefer that. I'm still uncomfortable doing this and nervous, but you know what? It's grown on me. I've gotten a little bit more used to it. But no, what I saw was in the political conversation was mainstream media, art, as far as comic books and movies and film, and just everything was leaning to the left, and all mainstream media leaning to the left, and just everything's leaning to the left, and there wasn't balance to the conversation. And then I saw people like Steven Crowder, The Quartering, Eric July, Ryan Kennel, all these guys out there. They could be who they were and lean to the right, get their point across, but it added that balance that we needed into the conversation. So I felt like more voices that were out there doing the same thing, the better, because I just found your show, but you're out here killing it with your audience, and I'm, what little audience I have, hopefully I'm killing it with these guys, but we're reaching people and adding some more balance and value to their lives, ideally and hopefully. So that was something I wanted to be part of in between doing the filming, because the filming takes so much out of me. We spend so much time in pre-production, a little bit in production, obviously, post-production. So when I'm not busy doing that, I'm like, you know what? I still want to be creative, and I still want to be a net positive. There's a difference between being busy and being productive. So I wanted to make sure I was being productive some way, somehow. And this just kind of came about as a way to do it.
So when you say before we go back to the content creation stuff, you're a filmmaker first, right? Where did that inspiration come from? Did you watch like DVD documentaries about being a filmmaker or the behind the scenes stuff as growing up as a kid?
Yeah, I would watch all that kind of stuff. And, and really it boils down to my mom's favorite movie is probably The Wizard of Oz. And so like actually sitting down and watching it, not the first time, but watching it to actually watch it, enjoy it, not just because I was doing it because mom wanted me to, and just seeing the adventure and the journey that you went on with that film.
Yeah.
I said, this was more than just watching a movie. This was, you got taken on a journey.
Hmm.
I said, I want to do that. And so after that, drawing was a big thing for me, or writing was a big thing for me, just something artistic to get it out there. I got a couple of guitars over here. I can play on them a little bit, not great, but I like to just have some kind of way to express things. So really dug films and the way they were a great escape for things. Started, like you said, reading books and watching, the how-tos and stuff. YouTube played a huge part back when YouTube was YouTube and not so much of this other crap that's out there. I watched channels like Film Riot and so many others that taught you how to make indie low budget films, and ended up finding a guy who was doing the same thing. Me and him linked arms 6 years, no, I don't know, 2015, almost 10 years ago now, I guess, or coming up on it, maybe 8 years ago. And we said, hey, you want to do this? He said, yeah. You want to do this? I said, yes. So we started doing it. So he would buy gear, I would buy gear, we'd share gear, we'd work together. If he writes and directs, I'm his cinematographer. I'll write and direct, he's my cinematographer. Sometimes we write together, sometimes we direct together, sometimes we edit together, but we do everything together. We work together very, very well. And I heard you talking with Aaron earlier about DEI and all that stuff. I don't like DEI and checking the boxes for the sake of doing that. But the guy that I work with is a black guy. We both grew up from the same.
Those people? Crazy.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's risky.
Especially in the South, there's a lot of them there.
But he grew up. We grew up in the same town, but on different parts of the town. And he grew up. I'm sure you've heard of Young Jeezy. He grew up in the same neighborhood as Young Jeezy. Knew him. Knew all those guys. I grew up on just the other end of town. Definitely not the rich side of town. That's the other end of town. Neither one of us grew up on. And so when we come together and we do our writing and we do our collaborating, it's cool to have those different backgrounds coming together, because there is a positive in that. But when it's forced is when I don't like it. When it's natural, it helps, because when we're writing scripts and I'm writing for a black character in a specific situation, I give it to him to edit. He goes, yeah, we don't say that. And he'll go through and he'll mark it up and help me out. And we go back and forth for a while trying to do stuff. And we have a good time. But yeah, me and him just been linking up for a while, making some movies. We're both now technically internationally award-winning filmmakers. We've had films that have played at festivals all around the world, Paris and Germany, here in the US, wherever. And we've won, a fair share of awards, gotten into quite a few. So yeah, so we've had a little success with that. No money, but some success with the
other thing I wanted to ask you is, you said you're a filmmaker. So what is your biggest strength? You said you do directing, cinematography, writing, all that stuff. So there's basically nothing you can't do, right?
Yeah, when you're indie, I mean, you got to be able to do it all. And then when I did my first short film, I basically did everything. I had one buddy come and do the sound, because I couldn't direct, do the camera and everything else, and do the sound correctly. So I had one guy who had no idea how to do sound. And then the rest of it was me, set decorating, getting everything, putting it all together. And it was absolutely exhausting. So now we've kind of collaborated. The two of us have created a team, and everybody kind of works together with their little roles. We got like our audio guy, who actually turned out to be a fantastic actor. So now he's in front of the camera, and we're trying to train somebody else in the audio area.
Yeah.
But yeah, you kind of got to know how to do it all to create a product when you're working with nothing, nobody, no money, nothing. So I can do it all in a sense. Now, how great I do it all, not great. And when you're trying to do multiple things at one time, something's going to suffer.
That's the part of growing up in life too, is that a lot of people have to understand at some point you can't do it all and you need help. Like me for myself, I don't think I've ever told you this, or I've told a lot of people this before. I'm not entertaining enough to do this kind of like Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh to do their shows. I can't. I know I can't. I'm not entertaining. I could do a pre-recorded. That's easy. I've been doing that forever. But as far as a long form like this, no way. I have to have either it's a one-on-one or it has to be a panel. I legitimately can't do it, you know? And that's the thing about how you grow as a person is you understand, hey, I can't do this. This person can help me with that. And you can kind of balance off that person, talk about ideas. When they say something, you're like, oh, I didn't think of it that way. Now I can understand it this way. There's many benefits to having someone that works with you. You just got to make sure that they're not trying to, backstab you or anything like that. But the idea behind it is, you don't want to do everything by yourself. It's hard to do everything by yourself too,
Yeah,
mentally
absolutely.
taxing. Yeah.
Just like with this, I couldn't do this in front of a camera by myself. No, all my stuff is pre-recorded. And I go on other people's live streams like this or on Saturday nights. I see him in the chat now, Sean at Third Railify. We got a show Saturday nights. We do. He's all over the place, ADHD guy, and I'm very kind of vanilla because I'm boring. And so we kind of balance each other and everything out there. And so we work really well together. And then I go on other people's shows. And, again, when I go and I edit my shows, my pre-record shows, I got to put little insert shots of this or little funny clips in it because I'm just not genuinely that funny and interesting to listen to, I don't think. But I want to reach as many people as I can on all the different platforms, like you alluded to earlier, again, for the messaging, like to try to counter the ridiculousness that's out there. So I'm willing to do whatever to just try to reach the masses. But yeah, I couldn't do this one on, just by myself streaming. Nobody would watch. Nobody. I wouldn't watch.
And the whole thing with DEI is such a tainted thing because people were talking about the concepts of DEI way before that was even basically a thing that they had as like a word. People didn't like race swaps or gender swaps and all that stuff. And to be fair, there are the ones that people like, right? But those still are so few, far in between. Like I'll use one of the famous ones a lot of people like to use, Michael Clark Duncan, when he portrayed Kingpin in Daredevil. Now keep in mind, guys, he did do a great job from what I saw. I didn't watch the entire movie, but I saw his clips. I know he did a great job. It's crazy. If the argument is you just pick the best actor for the job, why didn't they just get a black guy to play Kingpin the next time on the Daredevil show that came out on Netflix? Well, you would have your answer there because they knew it was a bad idea. Because I never understood that. If you're supposed to be picking the best actor for the job, why can't you get the best actor for the job and they look like the character too? Why is it only just one way it goes? It only goes one way. It's like, no, you just have to get the best actor and whatever they look like, that doesn't matter. And it's like, well, what do you mean it doesn't matter what they look like? They're portraying it in front of you. It should matter what they look like. Sorry if that comes off as racist, but that's literally how it's going to be. Like, let's use How to Train Your Dragon as an example. They casted They casted the light-skinned black girl who was Joel's daughter in The Last of Us season 1, episode 1. It's the one episode I watched. I know I saw her from that. Now, and hey, most people in my tweet were like, "Oh my god, you think she's gonna do a bad job?" I never said she was a bad job. Maybe she knocks out of the park and she's a great race swapped Astrid. That's not the argument. The argument is, why did they race swap Astrid? Because she's technically not Astrid by that logic. Then you could have just created a whole new character and just put Astrid there. It's almost as if like they want controversy. They want to have this bad press about their movie. I don't get it, And then all the arguments people give, all the arguments guys are bad. They're mostly always bullshit. Even the good ones are disingenuous as fuck too. Like even the good ones are like, this makes no sense. Well, people say the race is not intrinsic to the character. Okay, by that logic, then why are you changing it then? If the race means nothing, you're changing it for what reason? Because even that's stupid. Oh, it's not bad, so I'm going to change it because I can make it better. That itself is racist in and of itself. You not liking the race of a character and just changing it. So it's fucking stupid. And hey, she might do a great job, but that's not the argument. No one's saying I'm not saying she's going to go to set and just completely run it down acting, But I'm not going to sit here and just say I don't like I like it. Because it sounds like in life, the same thing you said a while ago too. People got to this point in life where they felt discouraged from talking about the things that bothered them because of like the backlash they would get. Too many people put their heads in the sand and went, hey, it'll all figure itself out. That's not how life works. I'm sorry. As you grow up, you realize that's not how life works at all. If you want to have an impact on something or at least make your opinion known about it, you have to talk about it. Some things you're going to say are not going to be liked. Some things they are. But at least in your own heart and your own true mind, you're saying what you believe. That's all that matters. You just didn't sit by and just let things go, as they say, That's why things got as bad as they did. no one speaks about it. And the ones that do, they get criticized. Oh, God, the backlash is insane. There's probably more backlash on criticizing it than the actual thing that exists now. How dare you not accept this studio slop they give you? You should be grateful they're giving. It's like, what the? They're rich because we paid them.
That's right.
Us giving them money decades upon decades upon decades made them rich. That's why it's so surprising to them now they don't have that access to that money anymore, because they took it all. Let's be honest, they took it all for granted. They thought we were going to constantly be in this money well for them for years to come. That when that money well was cut off or cut to a substantial point where it's not as lucrative or profitable, they're like, wow, damn, we really can't just give them literally anything. I'm not saying movies didn't flop back then or TV shows didn't have low ratings, but people kind of just like watched stuff back then because that was just the thing we did. We just watched everything, whether it be good or bad. But now options and everything, and we kind of know more about the industry now, and it's like, yeah, I don't want to support this guy. You know, I can always separate the art from the artist, but a lot of people can't. And I understand it. I fully get it. I fully get why people didn't go watch that Flash movie, because what Ezra Miller potentially did to people, you know?
Yeah, and you know, and the race swap thing, you even got sexuality swap and everything like that as now too. You know, someone who's been historically a straight, heterosexual male is now gay, and that changes everything in the story. When you think about it, it's really weird. But yeah, they've been doing that for a long time, and people will argue like back in the day that we would whitewash films. You know, it's the King of Africa was white, or they toned the skin different and all this and that. The reason that they did that back in the day, and not that to defend it, was because of financing. Like they couldn't get financing for films with less known actors, and there weren't as many big name actors like that out there of color. And so like with like Michael Clark Duncan, he's a big name, get him involved, and he was hot at the time, with other projects he had going on. So that was a big name. So definitely, that was something you can get greenlit. The thing is that they went from using the race swaps and the DEI, so to speak, whatever, not DEI, but you get me, back in the day for making the most money or for getting the film financed, right? And now they do it purely for agenda at the cost of making money. And one of the biggest examples I'll keep going back to is The Little Mermaid. That
was a big one. Yeah.
The girl that played her, beautiful,
Halle Bailey. Yeah.
Great voice, fantastic. But she has a very iconic look. It's a very specific, iconic look. And once they stray away from that, that's what turned people off. It's not that, oh, she's black instead of white. No, it's she does not look like this character that's been burned into our brains forever. And you've got so many doing that literally just to check the boxes. Not even the best actor in the mix. I mean, how many actors have we seen that were, let me back up about the actors. How many filmmakers have been casted? You go look at some of the folks that are making some of these projects are so not qualified to be making any of these projects, to head up Star Wars
Ava
or whatever.
DuVernay,
but
black lady who did the Candyman Legacy sequel, where it's like a sequel to the original. She got to the Marvels, and the Marvels completely failed because I wouldn't imagine a person like that, like who Ava DuVernay was, knows about superheroes. She didn't even do a good Candyman movie. That movie was terrible. It's garbage, right? And that's another problem too, as you brought up, where there's so many mismatches of people in this. We use Eternals, for example. Why is Chloe Zhao directing Eternals? This is a superhero movie, a superhero action movie, right? And she turned it into there was no movie there. It was just pure dog shit. Let's just say that. And Kevin Feige is trying to bait people and be like, this is our first Oscar movie. Yeah, you got to, buddy, no Oscars. Worry about making a good movie first. How about we get back to that? Marvel, make a good movie first. Worry about awards later. Let's start there. But no, I think the MCU is the perfect example of it. Basically getting to literally the top and then basically going, you know what? Now we could just kind of do whatever we want because we conquered movies, and you see how quickly they fell down. They actually imploded themselves. And I said this back in the day. The only person that could make them fail is themselves, because who else would? They can never blame the fans. I'm surprised that the directors and producers do when the fans are literally going to support the movies. There would be no MC without the fans that went there opening nights, weekends, multiple screenings to watch the movies. If any one of these directors and guys blames the fans, that's just bullshit. The fans, Marvel, with Crazy Man, it's Marvel fans will do that. They'll sit there and take that abuse. Man, they'll do it right now. They're like, man, the MCU, it'll get better, man. It'll get back on track. You just wait, man. DC, no one has faith it'll get better. It's just kind of like how you goes. But Marvel, they'll sit there and do every bad MCU and go, it'll get better, man. Just wait. I know Thor: Love and Thunder was certainly a movie, but it'll get better. And it's like, okay, you guys just love your Stockholm Syndrome. But, you know, I get it. There's brand loyalty there. You remember the good times, so you want to get back to those good times. But even they take that as granted, right? With the Marvels that just came out last year, all these media outlets were blaming men for the Marvel's failures. The statistics were brought out. White men supported the movie more. It was white men, then Mexican men, then black men were the top 3 demographics that supported the Marvel movie. Okay, so if this movie's made for men, why didn't women go support it then? Forgot, you can't blame women. That's misogynistic. They're not playing the game right, you know? Stupid. Fuck these people. All they do is just blame if you don't go and support the project. When in reality, we're not owed to give you money. I don't have to give you shit. You got that back in the day when you made some decent products. Well, make decent products, I'll give you my money again. When you do make a good product, I'll give you my money. But if you don't, I'm good. You can go fuck yourself.
Look at the box office just a few weeks ago. You had Terrifier 3 come out and blew Joker 2 away. And I have it right now. I love the first Joker. Loved the first Joker. I will not go see Joker 2 because all I've heard is it's going to ruin the first one.
I did see it. It's pretty bad.
Okay.
It's not good. To be fair, you can literally just watch it on digital now. Movies like that bomb just get released in digital 3 weeks later anyway.
Yeah. The first one was so good, and then Terrifier. I've seen the little short films and the stuff that created Terrifier, and I saw the first Terrifier, but I hadn't seen the newest one, and I hadn't seen 2 yet. But I mean, these dudes are indie guys, and they're out there just completely destroyed. You know, this WB production,
this Hollywood machine that they put under.
Absolutely. I mean, and like you were saying earlier, you know, there's so many options now. And again, that's why, and I did an episode of this. It's why we content creators here are out doing mainstream media. Like I cover a lot of news stuff. And so people are tuning into us out here, the Steven Crowders, the Dan Bonginos, the Quarterings, the whoever, more than they're tuning into CNN and MSNBC, who are both really struggling right now, and some of these other news outlets. In a likewise manner, people are turning to more indie art creators, be it like Aaron or Eric July, hopefully myself, or anybody else who's out here, you know, contributing to the game from the pure artistic standpoint. I mean, everything that I've ever made, I funded out of my own pocket, which wasn't much. I mean, my biggest project was $900. You know what I'm saying? I mean, well, I don't have that much to throw at it, but everybody comes together passionate about creating this art and working together. And that product makes a better product than me than something that gets millions of dollars thrown at it with people who are just there for a paycheck. Oh, and you mentioned it just a second ago before we move on. What do you think? What do you think about DC? James Gunn? Do you think there's any hope at all?
I think, to be fair, it might be an unpopular opinion. I think he's getting too little credit, honestly. A lot of people think he's going to come in and do a bad job. If you look at his track record, if people look at all the stuff he's created for superhero wise, people love Guardians. People like Guardians 2. I think Guardians 2 is weaker than Guardians 1, but enjoyable, let's say. I loved Peacemaker. I loved his Suicide Squad movie. I think that was fucking fantastic. It was great. That's a golden nugget in a sea of shit. Talk about that. I think for me, he's created 4 good superhero movie products, actually. I think people are underrating his potential to make a good Superman movie, actually. It depends on, can he not do the comedy bit? If he can not do the comedy bit as much for Superman, I think he has a great movie there. The problem with before the Superman movie comes out next year is you have Creature Commandos, which drops next week. That's his actual first DCU and like DCU project going out there. Which I'll be honest here, if you want to make a big impact on people, I don't think the first thing you should put out is an animated project for a bunch of characters no one knows. You know, people got to stop doing that. I guess back in the day, the MCU could do that. You know, but the thing is, I think the best thing for DC was to start with Superman, which is going to be 2025, which is going to be a movie. Creatures Commandos, Purified Grand, that's the first coming out party for the universe. It literally is the first coming out party. And it's a weekly show. It's not something you're going to get all in once in a binge model. Right. I think he's going to do a good job, but I understand the skepticism, you know, because remember, he was just a vehicle in the machine before when he was making the movies. Now he's the actual lead of it. That's different. And I think it's because of his creative choices. You follow comic books. He hired Tom King. So certainly one of the comic book writers of all time. He hired Christina Hodson, who wrote Birds of Prey and The Flash. I don't understand the creative choices. I don't get it. I think those are bad creative choices, honestly. I just hope with his, filmography and stuff, he can make a good DC. I don't want to see a bad DC. I mean, DC's been through a lot of shit with the Zack Snyder era. You remember the parts with the Walter Amada era where they were just releasing random shit that no one cared about and they kept bombing. I want him to do a good job. And it's just like, Superman's a tough character to crack, man. He just is, I like where it's not going to be an origin story. That's good. The problem with the Superman movie that I've not liked is, what is with all these castings? Is this supposed to be a Superman movie where like the larger DC universe is already introduced and we just kind of get the pieces added, kind of like a John Wick where universe is there, he's just kind of discovering the parts of it. So I think he'll do a good job. But the problem here is like, I guess only time will tell about that. If he does a bad Superman movie, it's over. Let's be honest here. That movie ends up bombing. It's pretty much done. That's but what else you got? Superman, if that can't draw people back to the theaters, then I guess nothing else will at that point, Yeah.
Yep. I agree. I'm skeptical. I'm on the skeptical side because even though I did like Guardians, he took something that was fairly unknown and made it huge. Guardians were not one of the biggest properties, and he blew it up and it made a fantastic thing. And a lot of that had to do with the cast that was in that as well, and being part of that vehicle, like you're saying, of that whole Marvel, train that was moving down the tracks. But it seems like every movie he does, he's got something silly in there, like a starfish that's plotting to kill everybody or whatever it is. Suicide Squad, I think it was, and Peacemaker's got all its goofiness in there. I enjoy the hell out of Peacemaker though, but there's a lot of goofiness, and like you're saying, if he can step away from that, because there's the thing that I noticed, and it really suffered, was when DC started hiring some of these guys that were working on Marvel to come over and work with DC, is they brought the silly with them. And the DC characters are not silly characters. They are darker, serious.
Yeah. Some of them that are like silly or comedic. There are them that exist, but the ones that people think about, it's a different style of humor. It's not that you can't be funny. It just has to be a different style of it. And the DC movies are generally like, it's not that they're not funny sometimes, and the ones that are super funny are usually pretty bad. The directors or the creators have never been able to balance out the style of humor DC movies have or need, right? The animated ones are able to do it very good. It's just the live action ones need to make sure, hey, you're doing a Batman movie. It's not something you can't make a joke here and there, but if we're doing like a comedy bit here, that's a little unnecessary,
right?
We're doing Superman. It's got to be that wholesome Southern kind of humor that a lot of people like. Because he's a Southern character. He's from Kansas, right? You're doing Wonder Woman. Okay, you got to have him it's got to be more brutal Roman Empire humor there. It's different styles of humor that they don't hammer in down for their movies that hurt them, like a character like Plastic Man, or sorry, like Elongated Man, he can be jokey. He's a jokey character,
silly.
But if Batman's doing that, like, that's just kind of like, okay, that's just trash. Okay, come on. No one wants that,
Exactly.
Or Zachary Levi, he had made that video before the election where he said basically conservatives have to keep their mouth shut and talk in whisper networks to hide their political beliefs. That's crazy. You can't even voice that you're going to vote for Donald Trump. Otherwise, you lose your entire livelihood. It's not the point where you voice Donald Trump and, people around you don't like you anymore. It's like, no, you have to lose your entire livelihood. So if you were like the best stunt coordinator, makeup artist, anything, you worked on a movie for many years and you got constant jobs because of it, you voiced on Twitter, you voted for Donald Trump, you just lose everything. Does that sound like a good industry to people? Basically, one way of thinking is you keep your job. That's crazy. That's literally horrible. And these guys aren't beating the cult allegations there. Just saying, that sounds like a cult. Unless you believe this way and endorse this way of thinking, no, you just can't be a part of our esteemed Hollywood. And then you have fans out there, man, who are so fucking stupid. They'll be like, well, there's consequences for your actions. What action did I do? Say I voted for a political person? That's an action. That deems me losing my entire livelihood. If you're a fan and you say that, you're mentally deranged. You're actually worse than those people because you're just an NPC bot spewing nonsense. You generally think, as a person out there, you really think someone just voicing they wanted to vote for Donald Trump, you mean that means that you lose their entire livelihood? That's a consequence? Your entire livelihood? You can't pay your bills to support your family? No, fuck you. No, actually, go fuck yourself. You're worse than the Hollywood people. I get that out of them. That's what they got to do. But just a regular person, you think that's okay? No, fuck all the way off with that.
Yeah, what I've noticed is when someone puts out a bad product, or you got the left out there doing what left does, the right will just not support them. The right won't go out there and buy their product, go see their films or whatever, and that's their kind of way of protesting or escaping from that or whatever. And then they suffer because of that, which is a good thing. That's how, look at Bud Light and what happened there.
You're
And
right.
the
Yeah.
left, like you're saying, the left doesn't do that. The left writes angry letters. The left writes angry tweets. The left goes in protests and riots and everything. These are two different. It's just insane the differences between the two and how we approach everything. And the left is so good at calling out everything they're doing, but projecting it over to the right. Like you said, oh, Trump's got a cult. No, I don't like a lot of stuff that Trump has said and done, but I like him for president. But you know what? That's what I'm hiring him for. I'm not hiring him to be my best friend or to go, preach next Sunday at church. I'm hiring him to kick some ass and get this country back on track. He did it 4 years ago. He'll do it again. That's what I'm hoping anyway. That's what I'm hiring him for. And the shocking thing to that, a billionaire was more relatable to the average American person than, I had a summer job at McDonald's and grew up a middle class family, Kamala Harris, who then had billionaires come out to try to support her. I mean, she was so unlikable and so unrelatable to everybody. They said, yeah, that billionaire from New York, that's the guy that's most relatable because he's authentic. And that's what I was going to say about your show when I was watching earlier. There's a genuine authenticity and relatability in you just having conversations with people that I was noticing. It wasn't an agenda. You didn't have like a series of questions, and maybe you do, but I'm sure we have like a general theme.
Oh, they're just memorized at the top of my head. I've been doing this forever. Yeah.
Right. But it's not like I'm going to accomplish that. No, you're just having conversations. And that, again, I think is something that draws people to watching our channels is the authenticity and the relatability. I mean, you look at Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan will sit down with somebody and talk about aliens on this episode, and over here talk about politics. On the next one, he's smoking weed. It's just, you get what you get. Here's a real dude. And so, again, hats off to you for being that same way. And then again, when you see artists doing that and just trying to make stuff that's relatable, I think that's fantastic. Without the agenda, without the cult stuff, just make the freaking art and make something good. Tell a good story.
Because the thing that you just brought up with Kamala Harris, they're on the news right now still debating on why she lost. They can't fathom the fact that their Hollywood influences from the actors, musicians, and rappers and all these rich people mean nothing now. That's such a shock to them because they genuinely thought all these many years that they have that power. And hey, to be fair, they did have some sort of power at some point. At some point, I do believe they had power, probably a lot of it. But now it doesn't matter anymore. And the crazy part about that is they're not able to accept that. Once they can accept that, they can potentially start, I would say, kind of reworking ideas they want to push on the people. Because I think the reason why they lost, another underrated reason, people don't really know what they're supporting. So Kamala Harris's big thing was abortion this and higher taxes that. Well, guys, a lot of people in this country, United States, who watch this from Europe are very religious based. They don't like abortion. So you're getting those people. And a lot of people do not like higher taxes as a working person. If you like higher taxes, the working person, you're a piece of shit and you're an idiot and you're stupid and your mom should have aborted you, actually, legitimately. But people don't like those things. So, what are they pushing on the people? Well, your kids shouldn't mutilate themselves. No, I'll be honest with you, what values do they hold? And it has to be a collective because you're a group. So, what is the collective values you want to push on people? Child mutilations, abortions, and higher taxes. Yeah, that doesn't fly with people anymore. And you can't guilt trip them into thinking that anymore because the news outlets, we'll talk about that too, MSNBC, record low ratings year in and year out. Their election episode, nothing. CNN, massive layoffs. I mean, MSNBC is about to get sold from Comcast,
Yep.
And all they can do is sit there and talk about Fox News influencing MAGA people. And it's like, guys, MAGA people don't care about Fox News. I don't know why Fox News is that. Oh my God, they just listen to everything on Fox News. Who the fuck watches Fox News anymore? Outside of clips they put out on their YouTube channel potentially. No one's sitting there watching an hour. People your parents' age would still watch that stuff because their average demographic is people from the age of 50 to 70. So they've completely lost the young audience. So they don't even have those people anymore. I just don't get how they can repair their reputation. Their reputation is in the absolute toilet. I don't know how they can repair it because they're not changing their values. We know that. They're not changing anything. So unless they completely have a candidate that's super relatable to the average Democrat person that wasn't masked there, There's no way you can get those people back. They're gone. That's the only options. Or, probably stop calling people racist and misogynist and Nazis. That'd be a good start too.
They're doing the same thing the film industry's doing. That's exactly what you were talking about earlier. That's exactly what we're blaming the fans for not coming out and watching the film. Well, then you're blaming the people who do come and watch the good ones. Like, quit putting the trash out there and they'll come. The reason they didn't come is not because they hate you. They clearly love you. They've seen every single, 300 Marvel movies you guys have put out. But this one that you put out was such trash, they didn't come and see it. So now you're going to badmouth them instead of learn your lesson. Well, politicians are doing the same thing. You got these cult-like MAGA folks, and you've got these deplorables, and you've got these garbage people, and how many times can you be called a racist and misogynist, and just a hateful, terrible person before you go, I don't think I want to listen to this person anymore. I don't think I want to have anything to do with these people. And that's the biggest problem. I don't think a lot of people woke up and realized they were conservative this past this year, but I think they realized that there was not a home for them on the left anymore, and that they would be accepted by the right. And a lot of people, from the RFKs to the Tulsi Gabbers, even Donald Trump, who was a Democrat, even a lot of people that I know that were like, I was a Democrat 3 years ago, but through everything that's happened, I have now drifted over to the right because I don't recognize the Democratic Party anymore. I mean, that's what they've done, is they've pushed people over.
That was another common sentiment that I heard from people that I know, and a lot of sentiment on, like, when I was checking through like a lot of different social media websites, is there are people that are like you, Democrat, or sometimes you could take ideas from the right and be like, okay, that's a good idea, or like you could agree to disagree on some things. There are people that were literally hardcore Democrats for life, and they were like, you know what, I don't understand what this party's about anymore. I'm leaving. That's bad, because those people were probably like, damn, 20, 30 year plus Democrats that supported those values. Now they're gone. Now you can't get those people back because that's not the same party they initially once supported. A Democrat saying back in the day is the whole defending your right to say it. That saying, they don't do that anymore. You say something they don't like, to cancel you.
Boom.
That saying was a fundamental Democrat saying right there. I may not like what you say, but I will defend your right to say it. Well, that's not them. So I don't know what party you're supporting anymore. And I think the problem with on the right was, that you brought up earlier, they did that whole thing of like, well, they look at media, like that movies like that, as for children. And they were super religious to the point where they thought it was demonic and all that bullshit. And they were like, man, why does media suck now? Well, how did you just notice this now? Oh, because you never cared for it. You're like, to be fair, if they had wanted to be in the media sphere and invested into it, like when the left did, or people that were on the left or maybe centrist did, it wouldn't have got this bad, because you'd actually have a balancing force. But no, they literally, basically, unspokenly handshook and went, they can have it. Then you have no right to talk about how it's bad it's gotten. You didn't care, I guess now they want to go do their own thing, which is fine. I'm all fine someone putting their money where their mouth is, but things didn't have to get this bad if you cared. They literally all put their heads in the sand and went, you know what? They can have it. They can entertain the kids. Who needs an animation? Animations for kids. Read your Bibles. I'm saying not be religious or anything, but it's like, people have to understand the way media was able to impact people for life has a super hard impact on them, because that's constant things they can see tangible with their own eyes, and someone talking to them and things that they watch and hear. And all the right did was just go, they can have it. You basically just handshook away many generations of ever even listening to you, or because now the left, all they can do is just vilify the right and be like, they don't support you, and if they don't like this trans person and that stuff, they can just easily influence people that way. Now, like I said before, it's different now, but the right is much to blame with wrong with the country as the left is. Big reason. A lot of them are maybe in, let's say, cahoots with them. They're in town. Most of these guys, I would even say, are probably working together. Crazy life we live, where people are politicians
there.
I was saying, all these politicians are like, give us more money. What about the money we gave you? Isn't that good enough? No, gotta give me more money.
Dude.
Well, where's the money you just gave you? But what the hell? And that's stupid people out there. They'll give more money, and it's like, well, you're dumb. I can understand why you're broke.
and that's what excites me probably most about Trump's new cabinet is Elon and Vivek. Their whole mission is to go wipe out all this stupid spending. Like, why are we spending millions on transgender studies in Afghanistan or something like that. Like, why are we studying the tree frog in the Nile that has no impact on us at all? And we're spending billions of dollars to do it. Or, making sure that we keep this one fish alive and spending billions of dollars on that while people are going starving and hungry over here. I mean, they don't know how to spend money right. The government doesn't know how to do anything right. And that's why my wife works in finances, and they will always tell you that the stock market and everything always does better when it's a split house. So when you have no one has a super majority or anything like that, it's split where you have a Republican president, but then you have like a Democrat Congress or Senate or whatever. They deadlock each other. They can't do anything. So then nothing gets done. So then the stock market actually has a chance to do better. Things actually improve because the government isn't doing anything. Every time the government does something, they pretty much screw it up. They have screwed up everything they've gotten into, like the Department of Health and all this other stuff that they're looking at cutting, because the government's gotten involved and they think they can do it better. So I'm super excited to see all these cuts coming. I'm hoping a lot of that goes back into our paychecks where we aren't getting taxed as heavily. And I want to see the improvements. I mean, think if we weren't so divided and fighting each other and wasting all this money. You look at other countries like, and I don't mean to glorify some of these countries because I know some of them are, communist or whatever, but you look at your China's and your Japans and all these places and these speed rails and all the technology and how they're growing their cities and everything. We could be miles ahead of these people, but we're not, because we're fighting each other left and right non-stop. We got to find a way to squash that beef and work together. But like you said, you got one side that's absolutely cultish, and if they step out of line, they're out of the party, they're out of the club, they're not a cool kid, whatever. But if we could just do it right, to me, it's like a mother and a father. The conservatives are like the father, the masculinity, I go by the rules and I set the rules and we're going to obey the rules. And if you get out of line, you're going to go to jail, you're going to do whatever. And the left is like, oh, all we care about is the feelings, which is a very motherly kind of maternal thing that you get from there. So the best home is a balanced home with a mother and a father both in it. I think if we could find that balance within our politics, within that mother, father, that left, that right kind of concept, if we could find that balance, man, we'd be doing pretty damn good, but we just ain't doing it because everybody's got their own agenda. And you got people that up there that are just getting in, making, pennies on the dollar that get elected into Congress that are now multimillionaires. Something ain't right.
That's another problem too, is that like the world moved away from these things that were deemed like toxic masculinity, or they hated traditional values like a mom and a dad. Women can do everything themselves now. Women can do everything a man can do. All those women, well, good majority of them now, I would say, are not only just mentally disturbed because we saw the meltdowns from when Trump won. The other thing that basically went on, which was like they're realizing they're lonely and they got nothing. Well, yeah, you were told, and they don't know it because they don't even know they've been brainwashed.
That's right.
Like, I have all this money, I have this good job, which again, I'm fine with the girl working. I'm fine with the girl has money. But they're like, man, I have nobody. You said you didn't need a man. Oh my God, you finally clicked in your head. Holy shit, you realize you were brainwashed. And that's the problem. I don't even try to make fun of that, but it's like,
right.
If a person isn't consciously thinking about what they're doing or what they're hearing, like, how am I supposed to feel bad for that? There was that girl, I forgot her name. She was at that Republican party they had before Trump got elected. It was that one where that chick came up there and she was like, I thought this way about Donald Trump because the media told me. But and she said it took her dad to tell her, hey, just kind of look into him a little bit. Why wasn't she able to, as a person, to consciously just do that herself? Why did it have to take someone else to tell her, hey, look into this guy? He's not as bad as they're saying. Like, are we supposed to feel bad for people that are just that stupid? Like, if you're not smart enough to conceptually understand certain things and look into them yourself before making a decision on someone, I really can't be sad that you were brainwashed. It's kind of like your fault.
Well, I've got mixed emotions on that. I do believe, I believe we have a mental health crisis in this country, and I think a lot of that is because of the manipulation of the mainstream media. The ADHD is implanted in us through these little TikTok videos, and this, our attention span's not there. People aren't reading anymore. There's a lot that goes on, and not to get into it, but I mean, in the foods and the waters and stuff like RFK's been talking about, all this chemical and everything they're putting in our foods and our vaccines and all this and that. I ain't trying to get you banned on anything, but the point in all that is I think a lot of people are suffering from that, and a lot of people are more easily manipulated because of that. And it's like an addict. I was talking to my wife. I've been cutting sugars out of my diet because sugar is just as addictable. You're just as likely to get addicted to sugar as you are to cocaine, or even worse. It has a stronger hold on you. I was looking at a study on that, but this kind of echo chamber that we get in sometimes, it's an addiction. You hear the same thing over and over again. It's hard to accept anything outside of that, which is where we find a lot of our celebrities and mainstream media, folks right now. But these people that you're talking about, they're out there freaking out, having, a hard time. They have been manipulated and just totally abused in such a way that they don't even know it. Like you said, it's almost like a Stockholm syndrome. They're like, I have to be committed to this thing, this only thing that I've known, and this thing that has fed me for so long, because anything else is spooky and dangerous. And I can't go over there, because not only that, but to your other point, if I do, then I'm not part of the club anymore. So there's all this stuff that reminds me of the Church of Scientology. Like, people cannot leave the church, all kinds of stuff. But that's what it's become. It really is like, you have to think this way. You have to be in lockstep, or you're against us. You can't even, and that's the thing with the right. The right has inner turmoil because we don't all agree on the same thing. The left, you absolutely have to be in lockstep with that mindset, or you're out. And
I'm pretty sure. Remember, you saw the situation before. The same thing with like the Daily Wire. They have a decent amount of influence on somewhat conservative media.
Yeah,
they had that. They had that big thing with specifically Ben and Jeremy had that problem with Steven Crowder, the whole contract thing, and he said they were in bed with big tech, and oh my God, that was such a shit show. And even people of that high caliber with that amount of money, millions of dollars, can't even get along with everything that's trying to go on. It's crazy, the fact that money is always a big determining factor to a lot of things. But hey, if money's how the world goes around, I know a lot of people don't like when I say this. Sorry, that saying back in the day was money that doesn't buy you happiness. But the only people that said that were broke people. Money absolutely does certainly buy you happiness. It's literally the reason why it buys you freedom. Yeah,
and freedom is what gives you the happiness. Absolutely.
Yeah. I know that's only broke people said that, and I was like, you know what? Throw that mindset out. Kick that to the curb.
Yeah.
I think the problem with conservatives is that they don't really know how to relate to younger people now, because they have such vastly different ways of how they live life and religious things. They have a lucky person right now with Trump, who's, I wouldn't even say a Republican. He's mostly a person that just, I don't even like myself consider Trump a Republican. I think he's just someone that just like calls it like he sees it, as a best description of him, of his personality.
And what he stands for, I think, more so aligns with the conservative platform and kind of what conservatives are known for. So I think that's why he is a conservative. I don't know about, and I guess he's a Republican, but I don't know if you'd call him a diehard Republican. I mean, what he stands for, and some of the stuff that he stands. I mean, he's the first president to go in the office to be pro LGBT. I won't go with the T and all that,
crazy.
But he was the first one to go in to be pro gay.
It blows my mind how people think he hates gay people. He literally is fine with it. He doesn't give a fuck.
Nope.
The whole Troon stuff now about the mutilations. Okay, he had posted he wanted to block the puberty blocking thing and everything, but he was totally. What's crazy is he had a completely open viewpoint about it. He was fine with it, and they demonized him on a viewpoint that he never even had and supported. He supported the LGBT. He liked them, and then all the media went, "No, he hates you." So even if you like something, you're fine with it. The media could just say, no, you don't agree with it. And then I hate the world we live in. It's horrible. This is
clown world.
The clown world. Yeah. But I'm just hey, I'm fine with gay people. No, you're not. Oh, are you God? Like, what the fuck? Or people say he's racist. If people don't know the story, it was a very easy one to say. Trump actually sued places that didn't allow black people to go in them. The whole country club thing. Does that sound like a racist person to you? I don't know. That's someone legitimately putting their money where their mouth is when they don't like a situation that's happening in front of them.
Helped a lot of black people start their own businesses.
Mhm.
He gave out he would give out loans and say, hey, when you make it back, then you can pay me back. And then they'd come back with the check and he'd tear it up. He wouldn't even cash a check. He'd say, like, now you keep it and pay it forward.
Even with the whole McDonald's thing he did, remember? He said all people that come to the drive-thru that day, meals are all paid for. You could have put like a $200 fucking meal in there at McDonald's. You pay for it. Does that sound like a bad guy?
And you don't hear this. And that's the thing, and I get pissed when I see all these videos of, hey, film me, give this guy, a meal that's homeless and make me look like this winner. Like, hey, here's a meal, buddy. You good? Awesome. And then I'm going to put it on all my social media and show what a great guy I am.
The whole Mr.
That's
Beast
what
thing.
the left and that's what the left tries to do to be relatable. Trump keeps that stuff out of the headlines, but if you go and you look the backstory, there were like troops stuck somewhere. I can't remember where right now, overseas, and he personally chartered a plane to go over there and pick them up because the U.S. government wouldn't do it. And this was way before he ever ran for office. And he's done stuff like pay for funerals and do all kinds. I mean, he has been a huge net positive in the world for it. The Democrats would have loved him for all the stuff he's done for people. But as soon as he put that R next to his name, he became public enemy #1 and a joke. But now no one's laughing but us at them. So
I've never seen this happen with anybody where he basically started out as a huge villain for a lot of people. And he was a hero to some, obviously his MAGA crowd, which is fine. But he basically went from a villain to now everyone's hero. I've never seen it happen with any sort of politician ever in my entire life. It's like that anime story where the guy goes from being a villain to be a redeemed good guy. And it's like,
right.
But the irony part about this, he was never the bad guy to begin with. He was just the guy that called out them. He was just the guy that called them out on their bullshit. That was it. He was never really the bad guy. The media made him out to be the bad guy. That's why it's so sweet now that it backfired on them. Now he's everyone's hero. And the thing with the Republicans need to do now, the conservatives, okay, so you got your big win. You need to make sure this is a long-lasting, impactful big win. So he has a lot of power now. Trump does. He's the hero now. Whoever he endorses next, after he's done, needs to be someone that basically has the same values as he does, right? Because that person that he endorses is going to have way more favor and leverage over whoever they push. Because we know that now what they're pushing means nothing now at this point. They have no influence at this point. They have to figure out, how do we bring down these problems? Inflation and gas, everything. Because the left were so busy on abortion and all that jazz. And it's like, people's like, we can't afford food. Who gives a fuck what you want to have sex with? We can't afford food. We can't buy bread. That shows you they're so disconnected from the average person. They're too much on social media now. They're actually that person that's so invested in the internet, they've lost what real life is about anymore. They're starting all these wars. They almost started World War III a few days ago.
They might have.
God, good Lord, man. Like that's the problem. You have the Congress people, 2 of them, I'm pretty sure you've seen it on McBride. We people should be in the certain Decepticons should be in women's bathrooms. There's more bigger problems in the world than where you take a shit, right? These people are mentally deranged. How can I have sympathy for these people? They're just stupid.
Yeah.
Like that's stretching my sympathy card hard.
Yeah. It's one of those things that's just been forced. And like we were saying earlier about like checking the boxes and stuff for like film and stuff. When it's forced and it's unnatural, we have a natural tendency to push back on that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And you notice it, and it kind of pisses me off, the whole, especially with the film. I to jump from politics back to film for a second.
That's fine.
But like you were saying earlier, there's almost an asterisk. Actually, I heard you guys, you and Aaron were talking about this. There's kind of an asterisk next to people's names when they are casted in a certain role or whatever. Were you casting this because of the color of your skin, your sexuality, or whatever, or were you the best person for the job? Because I look at, like, right now, 2 of the biggest things that you see is not just the racial or sexuality swapping that we're seeing there, but also the strong female lead, which there's plenty of strong female lead movies that were awesome. So now when you have a strong female lead movie come out, is it one of those, or is it the social engineering, I'm going to put women first and virtue signal over here kind of movie? You don't know right off the bat. And it sucks because people that are genuinely good, like good-hearted, artists that want to tell a good story and they happen to make the lead a female, they are going to have that question mark or that asterisk next to it and be like, I don't know about that. It could be another one of those Raylos or whatever, you know? So there's always going to be that question around that. And I hate that because Michael Clark Duncan playing, you know, a role that's typically a white guy in the comic book, I don't think I would have a problem with that because Michael Clark Duncan's the bomb.com. But, you know, now if that was to come out this year, you'd be like, oh, well, they clearly race swapped so they could check a box. You see what I'm saying? It just depends on the motive. And we don't know that because of everything that's been forced. It has watered down and just ruined everything. It's ruined art. It's ruined politics. It's ruined. And again, every facet of art, from film, TV, music, comic books, video games, everything across the board now has to have these check marks, even to be considered for like an Oscar or some of these other awards. You have to have a certain number
put out
of
the Oscar.
People of color or sexuality or handicap. They got to have handicapped folks in there doing stuff. Now, I mean, it is nuts and it limits an artist. And the last thing an artist needs to do is to be limited in the palette that they can use. They should be the ones limiting themselves. And I mean, sometimes a budget does that, but that inspires more creativity. But when you're telling me I have to write a story with all of these elements and only these elements, you've lost me. I don't want to do it. You've now ruined my lust to be an artist, you know?
The thing you brought up with the whole female boss thing is, even like, what's crazy is there have been many female-led movies that are awesome. I'll even use one from the horror community that everyone knows, which is Scream. Neve Campbell. She's led Scream. She led Scream for 5 movies, even though they had Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega for the 5th one mostly, but she was mostly a lead to herself. And people would say, oh, no, but you didn't. I like those movies. I like a lot of female-led movies. I'm just not going to accept bad female-led movies because you're telling me I should accept them. Because the thing is, if I like 10 female-led movies that I thought were good, then obviously if I like those, if I don't like this one, how would that automatically equate to me not liking women? That doesn't make any logical sense. The thing is, they're not trying to make logical sense. They just want to say as a villain.
Logic. What is that to the left?
Yeah. Throw that out. Yeah, that's the thing. You know, they want to put women in the forefront, and because they do that fake oppression thing. No, women never had prominent roles, which is just a lie. It's literally a lie. You could bring up 20 examples to them, and they'll be like, "But that only happened." Shut up. Did it happen or not? Stuff like Star Wars, everyone's favorite thing. Well, Leia, pretty prominent female character.
You can go back to what I said that inspired me, The Wizard of Oz. Who's the main character of that?
Dorothy. Yeah. Dorothy.
Crazy.
Crazy. We have Wicked out right now. Holy crap. I'm pretty sure. Did you take the wife to go see that?
No.
Oh, you guys aren't watching? Okay.
No. I don't think we have any interest in seeing it. It's not our thing. Musicals in general aren't our thing anyway. So it's, you know, and plus everything else around, I'm like, no.
Didn't people like Aliens and Sigourney Weaver's Ripley?
Oh, yeah. She was awesome. That was awesome.
I just don't get how anytime this conversation is brought up, the switch never clicks. No, we don't hate women. Because if we hated women, you wouldn't have watched those movies to begin with. That's just how that would work. If I don't like women, why would I go out of my way to watch a movie with a female lead? It would make that doesn't make any sense.
Right.
People just don't like hand-me-down shitty female leads. That's really all it is. You know?
That's right.
And you know, oh my god, that one, the Charlie's Angels one, that'll never cease to amaze me. Oh my god, that was such a headline. We don't need men or blah blah blah. Next week, our movie failed because men didn't see it. Kill me now. Actually kill me. Throw me out the bridge, man.
Yeah, I can't remember who directed that. She was an actress.
Oh, she was
Spider-Man. Elizabeth Banks.
She was in Brightburn. She was the girl.
She's done a lot of good stuff.
Yeah,
and it's crazy.
She's funny because untalented.
I went out and saw. You know what else she did? Cocaine Bear, and I laughed my ass off at Cocaine Bear. I thought that was pretty good, and I had no idea that she was the director or anything. But yeah, I'm like you. I can remove the art and the artist. You know, one of the guys that was outspoken against Trump a little bit. I don't think he was big outspoken. When they're like, when they're out so outspoken that they're talking about people that support Trump, when they're out there talking about you directly and saying like, if you support him, I don't want you watching my movies. Well, then I'm not going to watch your stupid movie. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But if you're out there like, I like Kamala Harris, I want Kamala Harris to win, that's fine with me. Everybody has their opinion. I can still go see your film. One of the best movies I saw this year was what was it, Late Night with the Devil. That was a really cool movie, really trippy, cool movie. And the lead actor had been someone who was anti-Trump, but he wasn't somebody who was like, going after MAGA folks or anything like that. So I was able to separate it and really genuinely enjoy that movie. That was a fantastic movie.
This was something I was going to bring up with Aaron. I'll bring up with you too. I missed to bring up with him. The big example I could use right now, the Sonic movies. The Sonic movies, I've seen, I mean, just from my record, I've seen none of the cast go politically retarded on the fans, talk about any of that bullshit. They've been the best example recently of how to basically make movies and keep your politics separate. I'm pretty sure they all endorse Trump. Not Trump. I'm pretty sure they wanted Kamala Harris to win. Let's be honest here. Let's not go crazy. Maybe they were closet conservatives that maybe wanted Trump to win. Didn't matter. You don't hear it on social media. All you see them do is talk about the movies. They want, or anytime they are brought up, all they do is talk about how great the Sonic movies are and how much fun they're having. That's what people want. People want to get back to that period of cinema where you just talk about how good the movie was, why it maybe failed at the box office, the merits of what's inside the movie as far as its story and anything like that. Not this like, well, because my favorite actor voted for Kamala, then I can't watch her stuff. And it's like, even like you said, I can separate them. I honestly don't care, because I know them acting is different from their political viewpoint. I can still watch Batman the Animated Series knowing Mark Hamill voiced Joker. I can do it. Doesn't hurt me one bit. Because I know that's a completely separate thing, but even that changed over the years. We're having a separate thing. It couldn't be, for a lot of people. I can't do that. I like to still live in a world where I could go view entertainment knowing I'm just getting an entertainment product.
If that's what you're getting, if it's not more propaganda and crap just pushed down your throat for the sake of creating product and you're going to consume. If they are genuinely trying to entertain you, that's different. I saw Sean mentioned earlier, that's Third Relify in the chat, talking about it's hard to separate like Mark Ruffalo. And for me, that is too. I don't think Mark Ruffalo personally is that great of an actor anyway. So I'm not his biggest fan. I didn't think he was a great addition as the Hulk. Other films that I've seen him in, I'm like, it could have been anybody else. I don't really care. So I'm not like his biggest fan anyway. So it's easy for me to just, but like, some of these ones that have just downright talked so nasty about us, that does make it hard for me to want to support anything they do. But if they just have their own viewpoints and voice their own opinions and still show up to work every day to create good art without that hate in their heart toward me, I can usually get over it and watch it or listen to it or whatever. I say, man, I say it on every show I go on and anytime we talk about art. I feel like the last great renaissance of art that we had was in the late 90s, early 2000s. That period right there, you had cars that all look different. Now they all look the same that you drive down the road. The films were unique and different and artistic. You had like, I know maybe some of it was in the 80s, but like Ghostbusters is such a weird concept. Who's going to make that movie today if it wasn't already legacied in? But they took a chance, they took a risk, and you had that real, like, look at all the fashion from back in the day. I know you're a younger guy. I got that from talking to Aaron earlier. You seem to be a younger guy.
My back's thrown out.
Hey, it's coming. But but like even the clothes, like you had like all the Tommy Hilfiger and all the Ralph Lauren and all the FUBU and all the fashion was different. I mean, it was such a wonderful place with music and everything in the late 90s, early 2000s. And then after that, everything began just being uniform, and it sucked. It was very measured and uniform. And again, that's when you started seeing the tide shift to being more, let's put out this messaging. Let's make this more of a messaging or agenda based or whatever, and just force them to watch this instead of actually creating art and taking a risk. Art. And one of the films, and I'll quit rambling for a second here, but one of the films that I like Rob Zombie's films. And he did House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects. The third installment wasn't great, but on the bonus disc of the Devil's Rejects, there's a featurette of how they made the movie in 30 days, and it's really cool to watch. It's awesome. And one of the lines in there I'll never forget. One of the characters was playing this really just nasty, dramatic scene where he has to stick a gun, next to a woman's crotch, and he has to do all this, and it's just a really uncomfortable scene for everybody, right? and he was kind of down and out about it. He's kind of got in his moods, and he was talking to Rob, and Rob just simply told him, art is not safe. And I love that line. Art should never be safe. You should be taking risks. You should be pushing boundaries. I mean, look at what Star Wars used to be. They were pushing the boundaries of technology so much so that Lucas had to create new technology in order to do what he did with God, why can't I think of his name? His name just the Terminator director, James Cameron. You know, they had to create like entire special effects teams to create the new technology just to do Terminator 2, that we can't even replicate some of that stuff to this day the same way that they did back then, as good as they did back then. I mean, these people were pushing the boundaries of technology to give us the best that they could at the time for their art. That's what art is supposed to be. It's supposed to be dangerous. It's supposed to be scary. It's supposed to be boundary pushing, but it's never supposed to be used as a weapon to attack people. And that's what I hate about what we've turned this into.
Yes. And the last few things I'll ask before we have to head out of here, I know it's a little late for you on your side. First thing is, do you have anything else planned for 2024 going into 2025 you want to let the audience know about?
Really, only thing that I've got coming up personally on with me is I do only do one live stream a month. I do it the first Monday of every month. It's something I'm just getting into. I go on other people's live streams, but Monday Night Mayhem Live, it will be the first Monday in December 2nd. I've got just a super exciting panel that's going to be on with me, and we're going to do that from my channel, The Morning Mayhem, on all the different platforms that we're on. Like you were saying earlier, YouTube, Rumble, and X. I think we'll stream to all three of those. But yeah, I've got that coming up Monday, December 2nd. And after that, just kind of going to fade away for the rest of the year. And then we'll come back strong at the beginning, because I know everybody's kind of winding down for the year, and it's getting to those holidays and family times.
Yeah, it's the holiday seasons are they're fine for a lot of people. I mean, I don't celebrate holidays like I used to back in the day. I don't care anymore. It's just with work. It's just so busy. I don't even care. You know, I just like, yeah, let's get through it. Let's get to the new year so we can get some time off. It's so busy in the holiday season. Because basically, as you said before, for this week coming up, Thursday through Sunday, you're taking it off. And then for the following week, you're busy Monday. And then the first week of December, starting Tuesday, you're pretty much open, essentially.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you want to come on a panel show, just let me know. I forgot what days you're free generally. I mean, I forgot you can't do Wednesday, it'd be too late for you because we start at 8 on Wednesday. So the best times is like Saturday. We start at 6.
We'll figure it out. I'm sure we can figure something out.
My wife will figure it out too after she's banging Tyrone. That's how it works.
I saw you say right there.
God, man. She left me, threw me outside. My wife's boyfriend hates me, man. Why am I Destiny? Why am I a cuck? What happened to me? Don't turn into Destiny. Please never do that. That's actually
I still can't get over that this is a dude named Destiny. That's just funny to me.
It's so ironic. His name is Destiny. His Destiny turned out to be a fucking loser. Holy shit. These jokes write themselves. Last thing I'll ask you, man, is do you have any shout outs you want to give to anyone in particular, and any other closing thoughts or statements before we end the show?
Yeah, first, thanks for having me. Big time. I appreciate that. Everybody who's watching, if you want to follow me at My Morning Mayhem on any, social media that you're on, holler at me. I'm down for talking to whoever about anything. I will give a shout out to a couple people in the chat. I see I got Third Relify, that's Sean. He does the live streams on Saturday nights that I'm on. He's got a fantastic channel. It is wild. It is awesome. He's at Third Relify on most social media. And then I saw Shorty in there, or as I call her, Shawty. She's in there from Lou's Views Podcast. They're big on Rumble, and been hanging out with those guys quite a bit. So Lou's Views Podcast, Third Relify, big shout out to those guys. They've helped me get in front of the camera a little bit more and, expand my horizons.
Yeah. I saw like you tagged them on your Twitter profile. It's the lady her profile is the Democrat term Trump, and the guy, he has a darker profile picture. Yeah, I saw them. You tagged him before. Yeah, I would love to have him on the show if you can let him know I talk to people over here. It'd be great.
Sure.
Woof, connections. That's how you make them. That's how you clout chase.
Hey, that's what we do, baby.
Thank you guys for checking out this episode of the MSK Show, and we will see you guys in the next one.